I'm actually here today representing MUTU System. I'm the founder of MUTU System, which is an internationally acclaimed online platform. It's a program for body function and confidence post-baby. And I also wanted to introduce you to an entirely free, credible, and safe digital resource for you to use to send your patients to. Now, MUTU is a core and pelvic floor rehabilitation and strengthening online platform. We've got more than 50,000 members worldwide. We've featured on Radio 4 Women's Hour, on numerous national publications, and even on television. Everything we do is centered around our philosophy, our mission, which is that every woman deserves the dignity of a body that works. We've been helping mums heal diastasis recti, strengthen their pelvic floor, to stop leaks when they sneeze or cough or laugh, to improve prolapse symptoms, and to get fitter, healthier, and stronger since 2009. Really, we help mums find their missing mojos, because the results are not just functional. When these symptoms that are embarrassing, that are uncomfortable, are addressed, this has an extreme effect on mental health and emotional well-being, as well as physical and functional. Now, MUTU System is recommended by women's health physiotherapists, GP practices, and pelvic health specialists around the world, from sex therapists to surgeons. And many of these quotes and comments can be found on our website. These medical professionals signpost women to MUTU as an accessible, useful, safe, and free, I'll get to that part, resource when those women want to be in control of their own care and treatment, and or as a complement to physio or other individualized care. Now, the longevity and the credibility and the success of this enterprise means that we are now able to truly give back by offering a resource that is entirely free to the end user, to the NHS, and to the referrer, zero cost. I know at MUTU System, we understand that your time and your funding, your sources, are incredibly scarce and incredibly precious, and we want to make sure that we help or do our bit to preserve that. Now, as well as running MUTU System in the US and in the UK, I also certify fitness trainers, yoga teachers, Pilates teachers, physios, and I often speak for both public and professional audiences. But I have definitely not always been the postnatal expert. I might have thought I was many years ago, but I wasn't. And the reason that I get this and the reason that I do this is because there was a time when I personally saw only weakness and failure in my own body post-birth. It was when I learned to understand, I started to understand that the fitness industry, which at that time was my industry, if you like, was simply not serving women or not serving women well enough. This is 6th of October 2005. I'm 34 years old here. I was a personal trainer, super fit, and this is my daughter Ava. I'd been in labour for 28 hours. The final hours had involved some pretty brutal and rushed intervention. You can just see maybe the von Toos mark on the top of her head there. Now, I'd been fading in and out of consciousness for a while. I was bleeding very heavily. I was hemorrhaging. I was, however, being closely monitored, obviously. And my husband at this point had been sent home to get fresh clothes, decent food, that kind of thing. But then the vibe had shifted for me in the delivery suite where I was being kept as my status worsened. And Ian, my husband, returned a few hours later to seeming chaos and me being rushed into theatre. And the next thing I knew, I was waking up, no feeling from the middle down, all procedures done, bleeding stopped, I'm out of danger, I'm saved, but I felt broken, quite frankly. I remember a nurse attending me who maybe hadn't had such a great day so far, made the observation, wow, he was up to his elbows in there. And I was just like, I'm not sure if that's supposed to be impressive or reassuring or kind of neither. I was overwhelmed by absolute exhaustion, obviously, but also this feeling of total failure. My feeling was that my body had let me down. It had failed entirely to do what is supposed to be instinctive and female and natural and all of those things. And instead, it had felt brutal and disempowering. So my first child being born rocked me pretty much and left my body and my confidence pretty depleted. I just had this overwhelming feeling of inadequacy. I was a super fit personal trainer, training women how to be fit through pregnancy and beyond, and I felt like I thoroughly failed at the process. And then less than 2 years later, my son was born. He was actually born at home. This is in the hospital a little later. There's a reason why we do all our post-birth pictures in black and white, isn't there? It's not a good look. Filter, black and white, yeah. I'd laboured at home with 2 amazing midwives. I felt strong, I felt determined. This time, I was going to get this right. The fact that I'm in hospital might give you a clue that doesn't quite go according to plan. They'd instilled me with absolute confidence, and the whole process was relaxed and joyful. And my boy's birth was glorious. He came out, he literally slithered up me and crawled up me to feed. It was amazing. But then everything changed. I had a massive pain down through my back. The vibe in the room shifted again. Something was very wrong. Hemorrhage came again. This time it was vicious. Everything kind of kicked up a notch, as you'll all be very familiar with. And the room, I remember being full of paramedics. And I remember my husband's face kind of really close to mine, trying to get me to focus. And all I could say was, take him. I mean, this baby I'd literally just given birth to. I was like, I can't do anything. The following hours are fairly blurred and feverish, snapshots of memory. I was strapped to a stretcher. I was carried to a waiting helicopter. I mean, I know it's not a competition, but it's quite impressive, right? I remember the paramedic's face. I remember his face in the helmet trying to urge me to stay awake. And all I wanted him to do was go away so I could fade away. I don't really remember anything else. And when I woke, and I was groggy and nauseous, and I remember a wonderful midwife who snuggled Stanley, my new baby, into me to allow him to feed, and she kind of tried to explain to me what had happened. And I remember another young and exhausted midwife at the end of her shift popping her head around the door, and she said, "Oh, I was there when you were brought in. We thought we'd lost you," she said. Another reassuring comment. And I was black and blue with cannula sites on my arm, and I remember saying, "What's that bruise?" And I remember, bless her, she just looked at me and she went, "Could be anything, love." She said, "You've had a lot of drugs." So I felt physically broken. I felt emotionally broken. I felt useless at performing the most basic of apparently female instinctive functions. And I know that these feelings are not unique to me. You here will have your own personal stories, along with those of the countless women that you've helped and assisted, everywhere on the scale, from peaceful, glorious labours to utter tragedy and everything in between. You know and witness these moments more powerfully than anyone. And when I recovered, I was mad with my body because it had let me down. That was what I felt. I felt totally bitter. Wasn't fair. Other women could do this. I was strong and fit and healthy. This, really bitter I felt about it. I felt like I'd done everything right, but everything had gone wrong. And we as wellness professionals we're not different to the women we serve. Maybe you here, maybe you're not entirely always happy with the way your body feels or the way it works. Maybe you feel like your body has changed beyond recognition sometimes, like you're not in control of it. You're not alone, and all of those women that look like they've got it all worked out, they're feeling it too. And what I learned as I regained strength, obviously, but also perspective, was I really learned firsthand, and I'd been training women in the fitness sphere for a long time by this point, but I really learned firsthand at this stage that women's postnatal concerns were not being fully answered. I knew that the mainstream fitness industry wasn't giving women what they needed, because it hadn't given me what I needed. And this rejection of our body, for failing us, is too common. We look down at the stretch marks and the overhang, and we feel like our insides are going to fall out when we go to the toilet, and we shut down because this is not feeling good anymore. And so now, at this time, after both of these experiences, I could empathise with the personal training clients I was working with for real. The same frustrations, the same discomfort, the same lack of confidence and faith in my own body to heal itself. And I knew I needed to change the message and the methods that were being used. And so I started to change who I studied with and who I learned from and where I sought answers. So I moved increasingly away from mainstream fitness and more towards biomechanics and nutrition and physiotherapy and consulting with pelvic health specialists. And my search became a decade, and still counting, of study and practice and a determination to deliver the education and the strategies that really do work. So the MUTU program was first released in 2009, And for the last 10 years, it's been tested and reviewed and enhanced and recommended. And every development has been in response to feedback from our tens of thousands of customers and always in collaboration with pelvic health experts, both in the UK, in the US, and in Australia. Now, there's a lot of women searching for answers too. Now, we recently asked our social media platforms, what did you Google rather than ask a medical professional? Now, we know from the Better Births report also that, and I quote, women want to be in control of their care in partnership with healthcare professionals. With this control comes responsibility which mothers must accept and professionals must support, and health and fitness are integral to safe and fulfilling childbearing. Now, of course, we know, you know as well as anyone, that midwives have limited time available to support women, and you don't always have the time or the headspace to explain everything. There's also, of course, historic and chronic underfunding in both postnatal and perinatal mental care. But whilst we know that there is that underfunding, we also know what a significant impact this has on the woman's well-being. So women need tools and strategies and answers that will empower them to take self-responsibility for their own self-care and recovery. And you need more resources offering safe information. And we also know that both women and you are increasingly demanding that those tools are digital tools. So I'll just take you through a few. I think we had hundreds of answers to these. This was across our Instagram feed, Facebook, and everywhere, but I'll take you through a few. Everything. This was a fairly common answer. My doctor made me feel silly when I asked. I asked doctors what I could do to improve myself and was told surgery was the only option. Doctors don't have enough time. I do trust midwives, she said. You're the gurus, you say. When they're dismissing everybody else, they're saying, we trust the midwives. I'm going to let you just read that one. That doctor was having a bad day. This is very common. How to repair diastasis recti. This is very, very commonly searched online. I diagnosed myself online. This lady had a few choice expletives, which we've taken out, but she was sent for a scan. She felt without explanation. She was told she was just fat. She was told to just live with it. Told everything was normal. This, again, a very common response. Just told, live with it, love, you had a baby, deal with it. Diagnosed from Google. This one's worrying. She was terrible pain in her pelvis, lumps in her abdomen. She's Googling everything. This came up a lot. It's not that I didn't ask. Now, I saw Jenny Patterson, her speech at the Edinburgh Midwifery Festival, where she talked about PTSD post-birth. And she told us that the most significant factor in developing PTSD post-birth was that feeling of being ignored. They're not listening, feeling like they're not listening, quality of provider interaction. This came up a lot too. Why is this exercise not working? I'll come on to this, but why are my abs worse? I'm killing myself exercising. Why is this not working? Every mum should be informed and armed with solutions. And again, it's not like I didn't ask. Everything. This is what came up a lot. Now, we know there's a lot of really good information online, but we also know that the downsides of Dr. Google are many. Overwhelm is one. Conflicting, confusing information, misinformation too, which at best is useless or ineffective, and at worst is further anxiety-inducing or even dangerous. Social media doesn't help. Get your body back quick, and lots of pictures of buff mums that are supposed to be inspiring or motivational, and actually are very much neither inspiring nor motivational. And the impact on mums' self-esteem and confidence and mental health is rampant, and it's clear. So my own personal experience led to a shift in study from fitness science to biomechanics and working with pelvic health experts. And I discovered this missing link that I hadn't seen in certainly in the fitness world up to that point, and that missing link was disconnection. And what I mean by that is the disconnection that we feel when something doesn't look, feel, work the way we want it to. Our body leaks, or it bulges, or it hurts. We feel out of control of it, we feel resentful of it, we feel like it betrayed us, and so we disconnect. And I know from working with thousands of women and their postnatal bodies that we cannot heal what we've stopped talking to. So we can be doing boot camp or crunches or planks to kingdom come, but if we're not connecting with the right muscle systems, it's not going to work. And when it doesn't work, there's no results. And when there's no results, her confidence plummets even more. Body shame and just total lack of confidence. In order to get our bodies working right, we don't need to do more or harder exercises. We need to do different ones. Now, disconnect for moments, for instance, when a woman's having a smear or something, disconnect, go somewhere happy for a few minutes, that's fine. But the problem with disconnection is when it goes on for months and years. Women are getting undressed in the dark, they don't look at themselves in the mirror. And we don't take care of what we don't like. If we don't respect it, we don't look after it, we don't care about it. So I developed a program that starts by backing up. It starts by going back and building foundations, reconnecting first. MUTU helps women find the right muscles before we try to start strengthening the muscles. Perinatal body issues are mental health issues, and they lead to isolation and embarrassment and body shame. As midwives, you know this, but there is a shortage of midwives. Birth rates are increasing, births are increasingly complex, and the pressure that you're working under, as we know, is ever increasing. Meanwhile, women are searching online for a lot of information that you simply do not have the time to fully give them. Self-education and responsibility on the part of the woman are a must, but to facilitate that, you need to be able to have good, safe information to send her to. It needs to be evidence-based, it needs to be safe, it needs to be accessible, it needs to work, ideally it needs to be free. I've made the free stuff for you, but first I want to reassure you on a couple of safety and effectiveness levels. Last year, a survey was designed for us by a medical clinician and a former GP based on these clinical surveys, the ones listed there. We focused on 3 key areas of women's health: sexual well-being, urinary symptoms, and quality of life. The survey was sent to a random sample of women who had used MUTU for 6 weeks or more. And these are the key results. Of the women who said that they were previously unable to, 97% of these women could now locate and engage their pelvic floor muscles. Of those suffering with bladder symptoms, including urinary leakage, leaking when they sneeze, cough, laugh, jump, 92% experienced an improvement after using these exercises. Pelvic organ prolapse symptoms, 88% of women saw an improvement. Sexual symptoms, we asked about pain during or after intercourse, and 89% of those women who were experiencing that pain previously saw an improvement. Diastasis recti, massively searched online. 94% of women who had been dealing with abdominal separation saw an improvement after using MUTU System for at least 6 weeks. And of all of them, I think maybe this is the biggest one, because this is about our mental and our emotional well-being. Of all the women surveyed, 94% felt an improvement in how they felt about their body and what it was able to do. This is woman-centered care, but it's also woman self-led care. She feels educated, her physical symptoms are improved, and her mental and emotional health is enhanced. Now, we're an online platform. There's nowhere to hide. We are written about, reviewed, and commented on every day. And we are very consistent and very cognizant about our professional boundaries and our claims about results or source. We are available to all, and whilst we do provide modifications and education and resource, we obviously don't replace hands-on medical care any more than we claim to fix or cure every problem. We are a complementary resource for you. Just on the samples again, this was a survey designed by an independent clinician carried out amongst our own members, and the questions and methodology were based on the respected clinical surveys previously mentioned. These results are feedback from women who have done it, plain and simple. So on to where you can send them. This is the webpage to view the information and access a free video, mutusystem.co.uk/NHS. We have leaflets with this on as well. There are extensive free resources further down this page on diastasis recti, pelvic floor symptoms, sexual pain, prolapse symptoms. A lot of information as well as the free video. Now, our websites and social media platforms, you'll see from our imagery and our materials and all of our websites, we are consistently and passionately body positive, inclusive, and diverse. We always promote dignity, function, and strength in a body that works, never purely aesthetics. MUTU is a safe, credible, and effective resource to send women seeking this kind of help. As one GP said to me when he'd reviewed the material, this is great stuff, this is a no-brainer. Why wouldn't we send people here? And it's free. So So this is the video that is available on that website. The exercises in this free 6-minute video provide evidence-based valuable strategies to help. They are provided free of charge and without obligation. The recipient will receive an email where she'll get further information about MUTU. She can stop that anytime she wants. She still has access to this. Or if she chooses, she can decide to take advantage of a discount offered on the full 12-week program, entirely optional. Either way, what she receives for free in this 6-minute video of basic pelvic floor and core engagement work, this offers back to basics techniques that will make a real difference if followed consistently. We've already established a successful business, and this is what enables us to make this level of support available to everyone, this taster version of MUTU System. So I want to be really clear on that. We are not seeking any funding or any commission approval. This is entirely independently financed. It's an introduction to the foundational exercises and also how to use those exercises. Often we hear from women, well, I know how to engage my core when I'm in Pilates class, but what about when you're picking up the car seat or the groceries or the baby? So it's about how to apply those techniques. So we have leaflets that you may have seen, and they're available for you for your practices if you like. So in closing, I hope to provide you midwives that we value so much, that the women of this country value so much. We want to provide this accessible, this safe, and this free resource for you to refer women. MUTU is simply another tool in your toolbox. It adds no burden to your overstretched workload or to your budgets. So when so-called mummy tummy, when diastasis recti, when pelvic floor problems, all of these issues and the associated body confidence issues are raised, please feel free for MUTU to be your go-to resource to complement any other personalised care. I'm happy to answer any questions, and if you would like to email me, if you want leaflets for your practice, my email is right there. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much.